Welcome to Death Metal Time here in Rauta. This time we go to Italy with a band known Fulci. This is of course a tribute to the famous underground or cult film director. So there it is, the connection. Duck Face Killings is the name of the album and already has this kind of 18 vibes with the cover and all. Now when it comes to the music, well, it's a curious combination of modern day death metal as well as classic take on it. So let's call it old school death metal with the new school sound. And that should be by no means a negative statement, more like pointing out that even if you do it the classic ways and give it a kind of a 70s, 80s vibe with the horror movies and B-movie style, you can still make it sound like a powerful death metal thing and give it a go. Now, there are a couple of things which made me wonder when I was going through Metal Archive site with this one while listening to it. And one thing is, this is labeled as brutal death metal on Metal Archive site, which is curious because technically speaking, this is old school death metal with a kind of a modern sound. And then again, if you take a look at, say, Cannibal Corpse, it's just death metal. Which is fascinating because I think Cannibal Corpse, musically anyway, is way more brutal than Fulci. So once again, depending how you define brutal death metal for yourself, if you're expecting very, very brutal stuff to come and then consider Cannibal Corpse the basic death metal, this is not gonna sound very brutal to you. That is not to say that this doesn't sound good, because in fact, this is a good album. In fact, while this is nothing out of ordinary, except for the giallo style, which Lucio Fulci, the director, is famous for, this, let me see, fifth album by the band is actually, you know how to say, very, very well balanced, very much understanding how to do proper horror metal death metal. Horror movie death metal, I was bound to say. Now look at the list. 14 songs may look like a lot, especially these days when every other band is making like 6 or 8 minute songs, going way too far with the songwriting and, to be honest, so often rather boring. Now, lucky for people like me, Fulci is doing it a different way. Look at the track list. I mean, it's like 1 minute 37 7 seconds to songs like less than 3 minutes. Actually, there is only one song if I take a look, and even that is instrumental, going beyond 3 minutes. So they are focusing more on the death grind stuff, the pattern I mean, when you're looking at the track lengths. It's mostly around 2 to 3 minutes, which is fascinating. You really don't need much more than that, because while those extra lengthy songs with simplistic riffs and very basic output may sound really, really boring if you, say, go for past 5 minutes mark, not alone 7, 8, 9 minutes. These are focusing like, okay, let's give it a couple of simple riffs. Let's make it pound heavy and, you know, brutal ways, but not overly brutal, of course. And just get it done and move on to a next song. Which makes it really, really good because 14 songs, 32 minutes or whatever. I mean, they are doing it the right way. Now, rather than sounding actually very, very brutal, they sound like old school, making me think of bands like, say, Death and Bolvar here and there, while not sounding exactly neither in a full scope of terms and all. But what they do is sound very, very much like late 80s or early 90s, going a little bit melodic but not overly. Getting a little bit on the brutal side of thing, but not going like any kind of slam, death, whatever. Not to mention technicalities. These guys are focusing on simple yet good riffs, proper growly vocals and drums which are heavy. Now my only complaint about the drum sounds actually is that first certain, cymbals sounded like overly produced, not like computer made, but a little bit too overproduced. But once your mind kind of adjusts what it is, I mean, it's like, actually, I can live with that. So overall, good production, good death metal songwriting, good vocals and all that stuff. So while not exactly original or outstanding, overall, I would say, yeah, this is good death metal in a fashion I like it made. Maybe a little bit more catchy wouldn't hurt the album. I mean, it definitely wouldn't. But then again, there are so few things to complain about. So overall, a good, solid death metal album for all you horror metal freaks out there. Give it a go. Links are included in the description box. Click, listen, and like, and buy. Off you go. Bye.